Okay, you weren't hearing me all this time. I forgot to unmute my microphone. Give me a second to get my music going again, and we will sort this out. Go to channel, hidden playlist. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Okay. Shuffle it. Ah, there we go. One by Metallica. That's a good song to start out with. Nice and somewhat relaxing. Alright. And I'm not on the other shot. I gave up on it. I think there was too much information for the computer to handle given the situation. I need a better computer. Bottom line, I need a better computer. I'm going to get an AMD next time. But for now, that was just too complicated of a shot for my computer to deal with. So right now I'm moving on to this one. It's just Gaz and Dib walking down the road, and right now I'm creating the environment. So at least we're starting from square one, and you'll get to see the full process. So that's good. And right now I'm just going to go in here. What's the thickness of the line art that I'm going for here? It's about 5 or 10. Yeah. These are all 10, okay. So I'll just drop this down to 5 since it's a detail. Not 5, maybe a 7. It's not like anything's set in stone. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm laying the groundwork for the bricks right here. And how I did that was warped, sort of curved, angular perspective that I like using for Invaders Unrelated Art. And we're going to go in here, cut, undo, paste. Oh, zoom out. Well, why am I zooming in? Zoom out, thank you. Still a little laggy. Very slightly, though. Not as bad as it was. But, yeah. Yeah. Now we have gaps between where each of these perspective bricks will be. I need to do the same thing going up and down. Alright. So, how do I do this? I guess I could start out... Let's see, if I get a rough idea of where this will swoop in. You just rough this in. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to get the idea. Bit of a bump there, but that, like I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just have to get an idea of where these would connect. So let's see, whoosh, whoosh. We're talking about a connection somewhere in the middle there. So let me do like this. Switch over to a new blank slate, and we'll use this to help reference it in. After that, I'll come back and, yeah, deal with the rest. And what I'm looking at now, by the way, is I'm looking at the base of the circle, and I'm going to use that to help act as a guide. Cut and paste it a whole bunch, and that'll make the perspective easier to adjust. So that's what I'm going for, just to keep you in the loop. I think that's a good start right there. With the vanishing points off there, cut and paste it. Let's see if I just scale it up. I just need to stretch it up. Oh, I see now. Okay, the error is that the vanishing point needs to be in the actual middle, where it vanishes clear over here. And let's see, do I need to adjust that? Yes, I do. Alright. We want the vanishing point to be in the middle. Maybe right there. Do I have a previously set up vanishing point? I did. Okay, it's right here. I'm going to cut and paste that over to here. Maybe we can use that. Make it easier and more consistent. I mean, it's difficult, but I love working with warped perspective angles. There's something about it that's just immensely satisfying, even if it is odd, you know, or unorthodox. It's really fun and satisfying to do once you get the habit of it and the hang of it. And there's different techniques for it too. Like right here, I'm using circles to get the point across, basically. It's just interesting, to say the least. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, to make things a little easier on myself, I'm going to remove a lot of the excess information. So we just want the tip of the circle, like that. I guess I could leave so I could delete this. Delete a lot of the information that we won't be using. Because the main thing is the curve, but I can use the inside part of it as a guideline. Okay, and this can be removed and placed back over here. It's already over there. Okay, cool. Then I don't even need to worry about it. So, feeling a lot better about this. That's for sure. Taking my sight, taking my speed, taking my hearing, taking my arms, taking my legs, taking my soul, living my life in there. Love the song. Stretch that up a little. Let's see, is that no, that's not right. I'm trying to go based on the location of the brick tops and not necessarily the gaps between them. We'll add the gaps later. Much later. That's too much of a stretch. I'll tell you what, I'm going to make it a little less. I'll ignore the guidelines here, kind of, and just go doing my own thing real quick. What I'm doing now is stretching it based on each of the previous layers. So you see where one stops, I'll stretch it till the other starts again, and that'll incrementally make it wider and wider as we go up. That'll create an interesting effect, to say the least. I'm not sure if it's the effect I want, though, now that I think about it. You know, maybe it's not what I should be going for, actually. I got plenty of time to change that. Let me undo what I did. Delete that. Maybe we'll shrink it up a bit and make it more pronounced as far as curves go. To be fair, it looks like the perspective line, the horizon line is further to the ground anyway, so maybe we should do like this. Do like this! Maybe we should do it more like, angle it down. Maybe we should do more like this, actually. Yeah, there we go. I feel like that's a better starting point anyways, if I'm being honest. Yeah, okay. So we'll angle it more further to the ground, and we'll see how that looks once I start stretching it upwards. See, it's too extreme still. Alright, I'll stretch it out again. A lot of this is guesswork, by the way. I could be more technical and create a 5-point perspective, but I kind of want to do my own thing with this. Okay, Adrenaline by Shinedown is playing now. Another good one, another goodie. And now I'm just stretching it. I'm creating grid lines for the perspective. I need a shot again, that sweet adrenaline. I love this song. I'm looking at the far left side of the screen right now, by the way. I'm looking at that preview window because it's zoomed in closer on where the lines are relative to the actual image. I'm trying to line up right there and then drag it to the right. Okay, here we go. Alright, that leaves just this one piece right here that needs to be eliminated. Okay, now the perspective lines should be finished. So what I need to do is remove everything that's not in the box. Use a marquee lasso, or the marquee cutter, rather. No, lasso. Okay, we'll just cut everything out of the box. No, we won't. Not yet. Whoa, Stanley, what are you thinking? Not yet. First I need to flip it. Because... Oh, hi. Can I do a mouth zoom of him? No. No, I don't do requests. I'm just working on a shot right now that I have already taken care of. Let me tell you, though. Is that what you're wanting? Just a close-up on Dib real quick. Zoom out. Okay, now I'm going to flip the image a little bit. And by that, I mean I'm going to take this line work, which I know is here and here and here. Let's flatten it a little. I can group it too, because that's necessary actually. We'll flip it and make it go further up. You mean Zim? Ah, I'm not doing I should explain what's going on. I'm not doing requests right now. This is a shot for my girlfriend's project. She's working on an adaptation of the canceled Invader Zim episode, It Feeds on Noodles. And part of that, one of those scenes calls for Div and Gaz walking down the sidewalk. Zim's not in this scene. I'm just drawing what's required of me in the script, is all. So, yeah, that's the situation here. Oh, it's no big deal. Sounds like I'm gonna have chores too myself real quick. Sounds like I'm getting interrupted. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. Where did the shot go? Okay. Stop lagging. Stupid program. I need a new computer. Alright. There we go. Don't like the way the bricks are skinnier down there though. Maybe what I could do, you know, there is something I can work on and get this sorted out. Group, ungroup. We can keep this one, and maybe that one. I'll tell you what, I'll leave that grouped, cut it, delete everything else, paste it, and then we'll flip it over. And I'm gonna do a mirror image. I have a neat technique here that'll help me line up the bricks better for the vertical element of it. I sound really pretentious right now. I know what I'm doing. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. There we go. That's about right. Maybe a little bit higher, just so I know my bases are covered. Okay, cool. So, let me remove the... Undo that. Let me delete everything except this and this. Okay, so now these two lines are the only ones in this shot, right? On this layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this transform. By that I mean, I'm going to cut it, I'm going to drag it over. Let's see, how many bricks do we want? Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm going to guess 14 layers. So I'm going to skip ahead 14 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. One more for the border. Paste it. And now what I'm going to tell my computer is to morph between these two frames, and it'll create a perfectly spaced amount of lines, as you can see here. You see that? And this is going to become my perspective. So you can see by taking advantage of my computer's animation properties, where it animates it by moving it up and down, I can take advantage of that and actually create perspective lines on my own, and I know they're perfectly spaced. So that's a neat little hack that I use sometimes to get good perspective lines. So that's what that's going to do. Good luck. Okay, and okay, morphing the drawings. We're going to call this one Persp for perspective. And I'll do some cutting and pasting real quick in a second to get that back up and running. Ooh, wrong one. Stream again. Alright. There we go. Alright, so we got this. Back here. Okay, yeah, let's add in these layers. So what I'm going to do is cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste, cut. And we're going to repeat that until soon enough we have And these are all evenly spaced as far as stretching goes, but it looks like they're getting skinnier up top because of the angle of the arc of the circle that we use to transform between the two. All right, good. We have perfect perspective lines now. And it looks like these top two were pointless. Or maybe the top one, at least. Cool. I like it. All right, the rest can just be deleted without mercy. We don't need them anymore. I'm going to delete them so they're not taking up space. Precious hard drive space. Alright, so I think next I'm going to go ahead and cut it. We have this. I'm going to make a new layer real quick to reference that. Add and close, paste. And now what I'm going to go do is I'm going to add a gap between each of these for where the bricks fall. Yeah, actually I feel like, maybe I can skinny it up a bit because I feel like it's not quite what I was wanting. I feel like there's more detail that could be had out of this. Problem is I can't exactly, Maybe I should undo it and add more detail. I feel like the bricks are too thick. I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna go back and redo. I feel like there's not enough detail, especially towards the middle. Maybe I should have a lag between where it starts and stops in the transitionary period. So I'm gonna go back to when it was transitioning. And when it's there, heck, I don't even need this. I can just delete the two ending. I can delete everything except the beginning and end, and then just morph it again. Yeah, that'd be even better. Okay, and I need to extend the amount of lines because I feel like it's not enough. Just do like this. Alright, if we extend it by a few frames, it'll add more detail between the two when it morphs. Like so. Let me add the onion skin in to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, you see now, that's better, but I still feel like it's not quite right. Yeah, let me go to the morphing tools and make it lag at the start so that it eases in a little. And I feel like if I do that, I'll have a different take on it. 0. Let's use it in by 1 and see what happens. Okay, see now that's too skinny down there. Make it half. And that's too skinny again. Make it a quarter. Yeah. Let me do maybe 0.1, 10%. Yeah, I feel like that was all that was needed. No, I gotta keep it in mind. 0.2. I'm not looking at the bricks themselves. What I'm looking is the red lines, because the red lines will tell me all I need to know about, because that's the verticality of the bricks. I don't want them too skinny, but I don't want them too fat either. Maybe if I make it a third, ease it in by a third. I also gotta factor in the top too. What if I make both eased in? What effect does that give? Nah, I'll leave it alone. I'm also going to leave the easing in alone down bottom. And what I'm instead going to do is just extend how far it goes. Might even get a little bit lagging because I'm just using the onion skin, but... Okay. Now, that's better. I'm not going to say it's not. Let me hide the background for now. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Nah, I gotta make it down. How many lines do I want? I want to like 14 or something at first. Let me drop it down to 20. The amount is right, their positioning is wrong is all. So what I'm gonna do is ease it in and out a little. Thank you. Glad you like it. I'm gonna ease it a bit. If I do that again, yeah, see, that'll fix a little bit of the problems I'm having. 0.5. If I use it by half, what if I use it by half up top too? Does it negate it? Yeah, it negates it, so I don't want that. 0.25 maybe, and we'll leave this at 0. See, I'm going back and forth till the spacing of these is roughly even, or at least better. It looks more in tune with the angles. It is supposed to be smaller the further up you go, not gonna lie. But I don't want it to be too skinny at the bottom, you know? I don't want it to be too deviation so much. Oh, I love this song. 5 Finger Deck Punch, The Pride. I think this is a good think this is a good amount for the bricks. Let me mask it though, because this is all that's going to be visible, right? And every other one is going to be a brick. What's it look like up here? I'm going to try and... We'll ignore the little waviness right there. I'm just trying to rough in the brick sizes. Yeah, like I said, we can ignore those. I'm just trying to get a rough idea of what it'll look like when I turn these into bricks. Maybe that'll work. I'm going to roll with it because I can't be too picky. Okay, this will be the official width of it. Time to convert morphing to drawings. We'll call this perspective. Okay. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to cut and paste this once again, and we're going to go back down. V-A-X. V-A-X. I'm using the shortcuts. Control-V, Control-A, Control-X, arrow key. Well, not arrow key, but left, what's the left, left, the less than sign. Use the greater and less than signs to navigate this. You get the concept though, right? Like, you basically understand what I'm getting at and how I'm going to use this to create a perspective lines. Okay. Time for new layers. We're going to call this Prep 1, because it's going to be temporary. I'll delete it as soon as I don't need it anymore, but I need the guidelines. Alright, these can be deleted. Same with these, because they're not going to help us at all. Okay. In fact, so can that. There's a sidewalk. I'll leave that alone for now. Prep 1 time. Alright. So now we have all the lines lined up and ready to go. I just need to adjust the angle of it. I shouldn't have deleted that bottom one. Angle it down there. I'll try to make it line up perfectly with that. As it needs to. Even a little bit underneath, it's not going to be bad. Oops, didn't mean to change the texture of it though. That was not intentional. Let's change it back to normal. Thank you. Indestructible by Disturbed. Another good one. Alright, well, let me see. Go to the building materials. How wide did I make these lines? They're 7. Okay, I'll make these 7 too, because they're supposed to be detail work, not actually solid line work. Cool. I'm going to cut it, undo that, paste it. That ensures that it's lined up properly. And then... it up, maybe? No, that won't work. I need to, what do I need to do? Stretch it downwards a little? Yeah. Stretching it down ensures that the gap widens the closer it gets to the bottom. Okay, I have officially gotten the brick art prepped, kind of. No, not really, though. I need to stretch it down, but then I also need to slant it. Because the closer it gets towards the camera, the further you go right, the more it warps around towards the camera. So if it does like this motion, like the weird perspective thing, then the lines have to get wider the closer they are to the camera, and skinnier the further they are from it, obviously. So let me just shift it like that and see what that does. Good, good, good. Okay, that's what I'm wanting. All right, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, Indestructible's a good one. Ooh, okay. Almost spilled coffee on my drawing tablet. That would have been bad. Let me just wipe off from my table here real quick. And, there's a little bit of droplets, but not too much. That was close. Should be more careful than that. I just was being careless because I'm not used to this. Alright. Good thing I stopped that. Alright, let's get back to work. Playtime's over. So what I can do is I'm going to merge the two layers now and use the guidelines to cut and paste. Give it a second to catch up. Alright, it's caught up. Let's do this. Cut it. Paste it. And now we're going to turn this into bricks. Idea. What if we cut this, delete it? Now we'll leave that alone for now. I'll just go with raw basics for now. Okay, so all these. Drawing, convert to brush strokes, because brush strokes are easier to manipulate. And once it converts it, I'm going to save this. So we're going to get this. I'll wait for it. I gotta wait for it. This time I'll be careful with the coffee. It's not responding, but I bet if I just wait long enough it'll respond. There is a lot of information it's processing right now by turning all that into brushes. Brush strokes instead of pencil lines. There we go. Just needed to wait. Alright. Oh, here we go. Love that. Alright, yeah, I guess there's nothing for it but to get going. So first of all, I have to get rid of every vertical intersection right here. Oh, you better not be this slow the entire time. I mean, I get that you're processing a lot of information here, but this better not be so slow the whole time. Not good, not good, not good. But we'll have nothing to do but sit and wait. I learned better from last time, obviously. Ride the Lightning, Metallica. Good song. One of my favorites. Why is every stroke taking an eternity to do? Is it just because of the sheer amount of information that's being processed? That might be the case, but this program should be designed for this sort of stuff. Maybe easier if they were... No, I don't want to use brush strokes, though. Or pencil lines, though, because then you get weird tips when you cut it. If you do pencil lines and you cut them, you get these weird little bumps and nudges and stuff that you have to go in and clean up later anyway. So I don't want to do that. I want to stick with brush strokes and clip them off. But if it's this slow, if it's this agonizingly slow every time I have to cut anything, I'm not even sure if it's worth it. Okay, I'm going to do that and the one before it, and then we'll see what I have to do. I have an idea. Probably slowing down. No, nothing's slowing down. My computer's trying to handle the sheer amount of information that I'm throwing at it. And it should be able to handle it, but it's an old computer, and it's needing... I need a new computer eventually, like I say every live stream. So, yeah. We're going to see how to handle this. What I'm going to do, instead of cutting it, I'm going to zoom out. This should be a little faster than what I was doing. Okay. That. Cut all that. Okay, we're going to convert all of this to, I don't know, green, maybe? And then we're going to paste this, convert all this to red, I guess. So we can tell them apart more easily. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmask the camera and get rid of all this unseen information that's probably slowing it down a lot, like you were saying. The computer itself. Hi! Hello, Mbox. How you guys doing? I'm just working on dealing with my computer and the fact that it needs to be taken out back and shot and put out of its misery one day. But until I can afford a new computer, I have to work with what I got, you know? So, yeah, right now I'm just trying to save it from having to process too much excess information. And I'm trying to work on perspective. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to make a perspective thing for this scene. Already it's doing better, by the way. That alone did a lot for it. So maybe it was just the fact that it had so much to process. Now let's see what that does. Yep. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. Keep deleting these. Everything outside of the box can just be deleted, because like all those excess lines, they're going to be outside of the building anyways. Like, they don't need to be part of the brickwork. So holding on to them doesn't make much sense at all. So right now I'm just deleting them, but it's taking forever. It's lagging like a big thing. So, yeah, normally my computer would be able to handle this. Like, I got a good AMD graphics card, but like, I guess it's just not industry standard for this sort of stuff. I'll have to check the program's recommended settings and see if my computer matches them. It did. It did when I bought this program, and I haven't changed it since. You know, maybe it's just worn out. I'll have to see. I'll have to see what. I'll have to take some time and really do a deep dive and see what I need to fix. But for now, I can't. I don't want to do it. For now, I just want to get progress done. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah, all these boxes are going to be turned into bricks. I just need to have the ability to do that. Okay. Let's see what else left over. Okay. Drawing. Let's all these. Let's get rid of these. These don't need to exist. What I can do, real quick, haha, I can cheat a little bit. Grab these, zoom in, include this, and hit Control-Shift-F, and that'll flatten it. Well, that means it'll automatically sever it at the tip right there. Or not. Well, it should have, but it didn't. Unfortunate. I got a better way of doing that, though. I can just send all the greens to the back and make sure the computer knows that I want the red to sever the ones down below. That I want that red line to sever the green lines. And just the bottom one, because everything else needs to be interactable. So we're going to go with arrange, send to back. Okay, it should have done that. Let's select that and Control-Shift-F. Didn't do it? Nah, it brought him to the front again. Okay, well that's pointless. Undo. I think I know what I need to do. Just arrange. Oh, it's because it's already severed. Right, it's because all the cutting I was doing already. Well, in that case, there's nothing I can really do. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for filling them in. Working on It Feeds on Noodles, my girlfriend wanted to create an adaptation of it, so I'm helping her by doing the visuals for it. And today's shot involves Gaz and Dib walking down a sidewalk. Navi D on YouTube. So go ahead and check it out. She's basing it off of fanfic. She made some slight alterations to the script and stuff. I helped her voice some of the characters. We went back, shot ideas back and forth. She's the brain behind the project, though. So Navi D is her name on YouTube. N-O-V-I space D. Actually, let me put it in the chat real quick. Then you can check her out and subscribe to her. Because she'll be posting updates on her channel and stuff. Here we go. Navi D, and yeah, there we go. Sing with your OC and Zen. Yeah, that's your TV monitor. So yeah, lots of art going on today. And I'm listening to my favorite metal music while I do it, because that's what I need to deal with the stress of working on with this computer. Oh yeah, another good old Metallica song, Creeping Death. Hanging out with me, you know that I'm a huge Metallica fan. This is no secret. They are my favorite band, and that is not even a little bit of a secret. How fitting this song happening for Easter. It's about the Israelites, the plagues that descended upon the pharaohs in the Bible in the Old Testament. And the reason I say that's interesting is because the Easter celebration happens in conjunction with Passover, which was related to the plagues. So, fun little historical fact. This is not intentionally thematic, but it is partially thematic, which is kind of funny, in my opinion anyways. Let's bump the thickness up to 20 just so we can tell where this is. I love this song. Okay, pencil lines to brush strokes. What we're gonna do is nothing. Actually, we're not gonna do anything with this right now. I'm getting ahead of myself. My girlfriend is amazing. She's the best in the world. Ever. Period. That's me scoring brownie points with her in case she happens to be listening on the live stream. Don't tell her I said that, though. Okay, I'm going ahead and making the brick lines now. For those wondering what I'm doing with this. How did you come up with Zarya anyways? Like, what was the thought process? I'm interested to see the inception point, the inspiration behind that, and like her as a character. How did you? What led you to this point? You know, I'm curious about that. That always fascinates me. I don't have to like be super invested in something to be curious about its origin. You know. This is gonna take forever. Well, now you guys can probably see how the bricks are coming together too, by the way. Check, I got a message here on my Facebook. Okay, heading back to YouTube. Metallica's such a good band. They just are. When I started watching Invader Zim, I became so enthralled from the show, designs down to the very concept. Sully Almighty Talis and the very concept inspired you. Okay, so you're just the Almighty Talis themselves. What about them? Like, are you thinking just going only on looks, or are you thinking about them as like as far as their role in the show characterization wise, or like what about them was so catching, do you think? And I know that's hard, that can be difficult to answer, I get it. Like, it's hard to tell what inspires you, like, unless you think about it real hard. Like, what about them, you know, was it visuals, was it personality, was it story role, like their head of the Urkin Empire, their personalities, what is it, you know? So that's like, yeah. And I ask because I've never been inspired to make OCs apart from just necessity. Like, for IZTDM, I only made OCs because I needed roles to be filled in the story as far as extras or villains or something goes. Not to serve as, like, characters that I just like creating for the sake of creating them. That's, like, weirdly enough, that's never really been my thing. And, I must sound really weird to you guys, but OCs and that sort of stuff has never been a huge fandom thing I've been involved in, like, period. So I genuinely am curious, like, the mindset that goes into what makes people want to create them. It's just interesting, you know? Took me 3.5 years to get the story concept design perfect than a 90-year designer. As far as rolling characters that inspire me, they're so funny and interesting. Okay, so just their comedic and stuff. You seem to have, like, mishmashed a bunch of stuff onto your OC, I gotta say. It didn't seem like there was much of a pattern to her, per se. It just seems like you threw a lot together and, like, took a little bit of here, a little bit of here, and, like, making it into, like, a stew, like a mixing pot of just random characteristics. Was that the idea? Like, is that what you were going for? Oh yeah, I'm deleting that. That's right. Wait, something went wrong. Oh, I should have left that alone. That's right. Whoopsies, I made that too long. Also, something went wrong with my hardware here. Yes, keep watching. YouTube, I hate your stupid feature where you say that after you're not active for a while, you pause the playlist. I'm listening to the playlist because I'm working, okay? Gosh, get off my case. Your character's name is Vixian. Well, that's neat and all, but you know what's weird? I don't really get fixated on names so much as I do on like story roles and like how they fit into the world around them. That fascinates me way much more. Maybe that's just the writing nerd in me. But looks, well, no, looks do matter a little bit to me as far as characters go. But looks always come as subservient to the role in the story. Like, the role in the story is what influences how a character looks, to me anyways. That's how I go whenever I design characters for my own stories, that, not OCs, but like, actually, you know, my own fiction and stuff. That's what I put into, thought-wise. It intrigued me the way they act like little kids, their love for snacks, so I worked as hard as I could, and yes, at first she was just going to be a joke OC, but then I came in and treated and made her real. Okay, so if you had to, I gotta be honest, like, she seems a little cluttered with her design choices. Not very appealing as far as just, if you're wanting a cohesion, but there's definitely just a modge podge of stuff you put in there for sure. So if you had to slim it back a little, right? If you were forced to delete a few details, what would you delete if you had no choice? Like, I know you don't want to, obviously, but if you had to, what would you do? And I find that doing that, I do that exercise with a few of my characters sometimes. If I had to change or delete some things, like, what would I do? And that reveals to me what's important to me about the character, you know? It's just interesting. One of the exercises I do when I come up with characters for my other stories and stuff, like, okay, here's my character, you know, I like him, here's his, you know, motivation, his backstory, whatever. If I had to delete something about him, what would it be? And then I find out where my true loyalties lie as far as the character design goes. I deleted that one I shouldn't have. There we go. Just interesting stuff. All sorts of exercises I like doing when I come up with characters to thin it down, you know, cut the fat, so to speak, if I'm being metaphorical. Alright. Let me do this real quick. Alright. Now I need to trim out this. This is going to be very tedious, so that's why I'm engaging with so much conversation with you guys right now. This is about to get incredibly tedious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is gonna get very tedious. Holy cow. Whew, we're in it for the long haul, guys. Wasn't very bad back then. I'd probably delete like her connections with Zen, make her more like she had a grudge against him due to their Operation Opinion 1. Yeah? Okay, interesting. I can't really add much. I'm sorry if I'm not being very talkative. There's only so much I can add when talking about other people's like OCs, you know. But anyways, that's a route I typically take. What about you, Imbex? What about your character? Do tell, if you're okay with that. Like, I'm here to just hang out and chill. think. Also, I guess I could do an exercise real quick. If I were to create an OC, me myself, if you're like saying, Stanley, you know, make an Invader Zim OC, you have no choice. What would I do? Maybe it would be something that I think would add something to the world of Invader Zim. Maybe it would be an Urkin, if it was going to be an Urkin, because that's the normal OC stuff people do. Maybe it would be an Urkin that hunts down defectives and captures them or terminates them at the behest of the tallest. Very straight-laced, serious, not very fun, you know, not much in the way of personality, just more robotic, like almost like the Terminator. I think that'd be an interesting. Well, it's more of an object than a character. It's more of a prop, you know, a walking story element. That would be interesting, in my opinion. Because it's the opposite of what most people do when they create OCs, right? They would want OCs with big, loud personalities and stuff. Maybe a more subtle OC with hardly any personality at all, like deliberately running against the grain. That sort of stuff intrigues me most, I think, I find. Fun fact, she was really abortion. Yeah. It was fun, like, laughing about the funny failures I made during her design upgrades. Fun fact, she was really abortion. Yeah, you mentioned that having, like, abortion DNA and stuff. That was weird and didn't make much sense to me. So that could be explained more, for sure. It was like, wait, why? That seemed like random, you know? Or I misunderstood what you were talking about, probably. But, you know, it was interesting to say the least. Oh, by the way, this song is Taking You Down by Egypt Central. Another good song. Hergeline would have been orange. Okay, to go with red, purple, orange. I get it. There you go. My friend was really into Invader Zim, and I decided to explore into it more. We liked how creative the idea was and decided to make a character. Sweet. That's when you talked about Doom Zariah during the tallest live stream. Okay, cool. Gotcha. Okay, yeah. I thought I was hearing right, but I didn't want to, you know, speak out of turn and say something that wasn't actually accurate. My attention was divided, and still is. Still is, you know. So, Imbex Sway, so that's neat how you're inspired. So what is your character? Like, we have a name, right? We have, Vixium, but, like, what else beyond that? Like, who is Vixium? What is Vixium? Personality, role in the story, role in the world of Invader Zim, how does it play off of everything else, you know? I think that's why I don't create OCs a lot. I should, though. I like the idea. If I were to create OCs, I would probably use them to explore the fandom and, like, analyze or explore the world or put it under a microscope, so to speak, and just do some experimentation with how the world would react to different things, different circumstances, or playing off of certain themes that keep coming up in whatever show I'm talking about. In this case, Invader Zim. Like, okay, the OC I think I put the most thought into, technically, is the Master Control Brain for Invader Zim, the Doom movie. And that's because the Master Control Brain is super over-the-top serious, you know? Stupid serious, in a world that's just not that serious. And so, the comedy comes from the fact that the Master Control Brain is supposed to be this big, ominous villain, stuck in a world of, like, idiocy, pure idiocy. And so, like, the Master Control Brain is like a parody of the over-serious nature of writers sometimes when they try to make OCs and, like, shove them into a world, like Invader Zim, and, like, the clash in tone is where the comedy comes from. Same with Smoots, actually. Of course, Smoots is more of a parody of Mary Sue's in general. And, like, you know, self-insertion and stuff, and, like, romantic pairings in a world that just wouldn't exist with that, you know. Urkin Commander, huh? Okay, cool. Just like a pilot, or, like, just a generic commander in some random branch of the Urkin army, or... Is she in charge of a squadron, or... Sorry if I'm poking and prodding too much, I'm just curious. Sulfur by Slipknot, by the way, that's what we're listening to right now. Sulfur by Slipknot. And I love this song, too. Glad I have some people in the audience right now. This is the most tedious part of this shot, in my opinion. It's gonna be. It's just the, yeah, the drawing amount of it. Getting all of these big bricks drawn, it would be impossible otherwise. Virulent and very short-tempered. Type of commander that works with invader trainees. Okay, cool, okay. Interesting. So it's more like a training commander, not really like a out-on-the-field mission-type commander. Cool, cool, cool. Dealing with Urkin trainees. Short-tempered, sounds about right. Standard Urkin stuff. Really cool, though. Anything interesting as far as backstory? There's probably easier ways for me to have done this, but, here we are. I definitely could have done this a lot easier. I'm thinking of a few more ways, like scaling up predefined rectangular shapes, stuff like that. That probably would have made it easier to draw this, but, here we are, you know? Ah, hello. Sound like alien names, right, yeah. By the way, Marianne, welcome. Did not realize you were in the stream. Hello, and how are you? I think if I were to add on to this theoretical character I was coming up with, like, this Urkin thing that hunts down defectives, I think that's too serious. I think I'm gonna backtrack a little. That's a bit too edgy and serious. I don't like it. How about an Urkin that... I don't know. How about an Urkin that makes propaganda for the Urkin Empire? Like an Urkin artist in charge of making propaganda. I'd probably go with that. Something a little more unexpected, I suppose. Urkin propaganda official. Maybe, yeah, I'd create I'm liking this. Okay, so if I were to create an OC, I would make a Urkin propaganda officer, or someone who's like in charge of a team of artists or something in the Urkin Empire. Whole job is to create propaganda, right? And, oh, thank you. And, like, he's a real brown-nosing, boot-licking weasel. Complete worm. Would sell out his friends in a second if it meant looking good to the tallest. So this is the guy, right? This is a guy who is not pretending to love... He's like, not just pretending to love the Empire. He is in love with the Urkin Empire, right? He's the ultimate Urkin propagandist. Perfect for the job. But he's also a disgusting little weasel. And I think that would be a fun character to follow around and see the shenanigans of. That would be interesting, I think. Very despicable. But that's perfect for an Urkin. Thank you. I'm glad you guys like the idea. I might pursue that later on. That might be fun. I'll jot that away. I'd never thought of creating an OC for an OC's sake, but that might actually be pretty funny. As far as names go, it had to be one syllable, right? Because Urkin, like Sploot, Spleen, Gex, Scooge, Zin, Spoot. I think I said that already. Most of them tend to be monosyllable, right? So I'll have to go with something like that if I wanted to do that. Let's see. Propagandist. He's a propagandist. He's a bit of a sniveling little weasel. Yeah, pretty much. No, you're not. That's pretty much it, yeah. So, one syllable name. He's an Urkin propagandist. And his name is... Propaganda artist... Skidge. Skidge. S-K-I-D-G-E. Skidge. That sounds like a little insect. Maybe Splid. Nah. Something that sounds pathetic, you know? Like, ew, I just stepped in skidge. Like, you know? Sneak Food is the name of one, so not always. No. But for the ones that are always vocalized in the show, the ones that actually get a lot of... Think of the ones that are, like, shown in the show and given names. Typically monosyllable. So I want to make it as generic as possible so it doesn't stand out. I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to be overly special with the name choice, you know? I want it to seem more like I just... Here's the name, and that's that, you know? So... This is Sneaky on Furia. Was never mentioned in the show. That was just an extra character. And you'll know the crew's extras were always mentioned as being, I think the only Urkin that's vocally mentioned having more than one syllable is probably Purple. Honestly makes Zim look like a gentleman. Yeah, it could be Zim in another timeline, right? Splick. Yeah, Splick. Something just ew. Because he's a bootlicker. Splick the bootlicker. Splick. I like Splick, Splidge, Spooge. Something just disgusting. Krong. Krog. Oh, man. I'm liking this. Okay, let me think. Twitch. No, all these names are so good so far. I'm trying to keep going until I think one that just makes me laugh out loud. I like that's gonna be hard to beat though. That's gonna be hard to beat. Splick is gonna be hard to beat. Skidge, Sprizz, something that just makes you feel gross when you say it. You know, something to go with like a sniveling little weasel. Sniz? Nah. This is Caleb Heil and Jonathan Young covering, what was it again? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, one of the openings. I don't actually watch this show, but they have some really cool sounding openings. Sonochino Sadame is my favorite one. Sadame. Smrack. Ooh, nice. That sounds nice when it comes off the tongue. Smrack. Ugh. Smrack. Sprack. Prack. That's a bit too close to a swear word for my taste. Sprite. One of Rosie's Pepsi. Oh, that's funny. Spite. Spit. But I could just straight up call him Spit. What do you think? 2 on the nose? Maybe that's a bit too on the nose. Spit would be a funny name. Urkin Spit, the propagandist. Smrack. Serm. There's something about that. I am glad that the chat is filling up with just nonsense names. This is what I wanted. It's funny. Sniz. Sweet. Skit. Crick? Alright, I'm gonna settle on some stuff here. After I get... Oh gosh. After I get done with this complicated part over here, because the lines are converging now and overlapping with each other. Ooh, whoa! Schmunk. 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 Oh, I love it. It's so hard to say. Skunk. It almost sounds like skunk. Like, yeah, oh, he's a real skunk. Real weasel. Spig. Ooh, Spig might be a good one. Okay, Midna, please clean up the language a little bit. I'm trying to keep the stream PG, and I didn't comment earlier, but could you please keep the, I'm trying to keep the stream more PG level, okay? Thank you. I don't. You probably didn't realize that, but yeah, it's okay if you didn't. So please don't do that again. Thank you. I'm not mad, by the way. It does sound like skunk. You're right. You're right. You're right. Thank you. All good. Back to the names, though. Skunks, Glack. Man, so much. So many deliciously sounding, awful, loathsome names to choose from. And the music's distracting me a little bit, so I can't think straight. Scatza. Scatza. Okay, I gotta settle on one now. So, he's an Urkin propagandist, he's a real kiss butt. He will sell out his own grandmother, if Urkins even had grandmothers, for the sake of the Empire. He's a sniveling weasel, like a Hermann Goering sort of character. Scrat. That's the Ice Age character, though. What do we got here so far? Sinuts, Scatza, Schmunk, Schmuck, Scrat, Spriz, Sprizz, Spook, Spook. Oh, the spook, like a government spook, like a... That's an interesting concept, because spook is a slang term for a government agent, like a secret sort of CIA type that you don't want to run into. A government spook, someone who, if you see them, you're probably dead. So, okay, we could probably work that. Snook. No, wait. This is sounding too much like Smoots, though. And Smoots was another OC I made, technically, even though she was just there to mock the concept of self-inserts. That still is an OC I made, and I don't want to be repetitive. Straight out of a line by Godsmack, by the way. That's what's playing right now. Man, something similar. Okay, I'm gonna say it. I want something. I'm gonna go with something similar to Spit. So maybe if I distort that word a little bit. Spit, Smit. Now Smit is a bit too nice. The mitt sound makes me think of mittens. That's a bit too soft and fuzzy. Skit. Now that's like a comedy thing. Like, it's a skit, a funny skit. Shrink. Shrink, like a psychologist. Okay, this is the propaganda artist in charge of the Empire. It's propaganda creation. Urkin Shrink. Urkin Sprit. Sprit. I think I'm gonna go with... What do you guys think of Sprit? S-P-R-I-T. Anyone have any thoughts on that? Sprit jumped out at me just now. Somewhere in that sea of suggestions. Urkin Sprit, you have failed us for the last time.
Oh no, please! I'm Urkin Sprit and I would never betray the Empire. My masters.
I know. Maybe not even that sort of voice, but man. Gosh, that sounds like a fun character. Terrible! I mean, awful as a person, but fun as a character. Sprit. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Sprit. S-P-R-I-T. So, maybe if I have time after creating this shot, maybe after time I'm done with this, I can design Sprit. So we have Sprit, and he's in charge of propaganda for the Urkin Empire, or at least part of the propaganda, right? Not all of it by a long shot, but he has like a team that's in charge of a propaganda. What type of propaganda, though? The Urkin Empire is vast, you know, huge. So I'm thinking maybe he's in charge of something specific, like he has a team, like a ragtag team of helpers and assistants, you know. But he's the head honcho. Maybe he's not incompetent, not incompetent, but no one likes being around him. Because he's the ultimate, he's like the epitome of an Urkin. Therefore, he's not likable. So, Sprit, maybe he's in charge of creating propaganda for assimilated planets, right? Recently conquered planets. And he's in charge of creating and designing and distributing propaganda all across their broadcasting systems and stuff to make them love the Urkin Empire, or else. That might be pretty fun. That might be something I would work with. Possibly. But Sprit. Urkin Sprit. Okay, I think I've successfully created the brick wall here. Now I just need to get rid of a lot of them, and that's going to be the fun part. First I'll deal with the ones that are connected to the sides. Wait and Bleed by Slipknot. That's a good one. Also, drawing, optimize, remove contour strokes, because contour strokes are going to get in the way.
Carl Weezer from Jimmy Neutron.
Funny. And yeah, he makes Zim seem like a gentleman. So there's more to him. Right now we have a shallow puppet of a character, you know?
Do the voice for Sprint again? Okay. This is Sprint, and I'm in charge of propaganda, okay? You don't understand the might of the Urkin Empire, and... Ah, sorry. Oh, my tallest. This is the latest ad campaign I have designed to help you with the recently conquered world of Gashluga-Fard, or whatever the name of the world would be, some weird alien-sounding name. It's an ad campaign that says, look, the tallest are great and you should worship them. What do you think, my masters? Do I get extra pay for this one, possibly?
Okay, I'm going to bring back the reference real quick, because it'll give me a rougher idea of where I had the bricks connect to the wall. That's his voice now. Okay.
Urkin Sprint. May as well, man, really see.
Real, why am I picturing, what's his face? The version of Igor from Nightmare Before Christmas. If any of you have seen that movie, I'm picturing that for some reason. Trenches by Pop Evil. Another good song. Of course, the playlist I made is
nothing but good songs, so you know. It's nothing but fantastic music, okay?
I can't unhear it. Yes, alright.
Obey or die. It's that simple. You will submit to the Urkin Empire. You know, I mean, I don't make the rules, but I'm just telling you. We are the best thing ever, and if you disagree with that, then you might just disappear. My tallest. I've created this wanted poster for these freedom fighters, and I made them look extra ugly. What do you think?
Zim's reaction to Sprit. If they ever cross paths, which would never happen considering they're stationed probably opposite sides of the universe, it would probably be something like Sprit criticizing Zim for not loving the Empire enough, and Zim hating Sprit for not worshipping the mighty Zim. Or they would try to outdo each other in brown-nosing the tallest. Right? But, like I said, I don't think they would ever cross paths. Actually, Sprit would probably hate Zim, because Zim is, like, you know, a war criminal, right? Like, the Urkins hate Zim. So Sprit probably has made, in this scenario, Sprit has probably made tons of posters bad-mouthing Zim for being a threat to the Empire.
A threat to the glorious Urkin race. Oh, Zim.
Oh, Zim? Let me think.
Oh, it's Zim. The pathetic, backstabbing little defective traitor. You make me sick. I ought to call the authorities on you right now.
Simple as that, yeah. And then when Zim starts attacking him or something, if he ticks him off.
No, don't hurt me, please, please. I take it back. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
Because he has no spine. Poor Zim, everyone hates him. Yeah! Why would everyone hate him? It's not like he's ever done anything wrong. Yeah, right?
Unlike you, I don't need to earn the respect of the tallest. I already have it. Pathetic little defective loser. You don't even realize it, do you? That your mission is complete and utter joke. Oh, please don't hurt me.
Now, what'd be interesting, in my opinion, would be if Dib ever launched a campaign or a mission to try and infiltrate the Urkin Empire, right? And then somewhere on some planet that the Empire's conquered, Dib makes a pit stop, right, to fuel his ship up. And that's where Dib crosses paths with Sprit. And then the interaction between if Dib and Sprit wound up having to cross paths, I think that's where the juicy stuff would be. Just try to call the authorities on Zim.
I would never. I swear I would never.
Meanwhile, he's secretly contacted them already. Oh, nice. This is Our Truth by Lacuna Coil. Another good song. Okay, I think I've successfully separated all these. So I'm gonna flatten them now, and then that'll make deleting the bricks easier. The random patches. They would probably think Sprit is like Zim, but even worse. At least Zim is actually willing to fight me, you know? You're just a pure spineless guy. You probably hate Sprit because he's like the ultimate in like turncoat, sniveling little coward. Say what you will about Dib, and I think Dib's a complete loser, but he's no coward, you know? Dib is not a coward. He's just a bit annoying, you know? He is unfortunately our only hope. But he's no coward. I don't know. Describe Talos to Zarya in more detail as far as backstory goes. And what's her standing in the Urkin Empire officially? Like, how do the average Urkins see her? How do the Talos themselves see her? Like, what is the situation there? I would need to know more, but then I can probably come up with an improv thing real quick. I think I poured a little bit. There we go. Oh, the brick over there. Okay, cool. I think that's good for a patchwork of bricks. So I'll hold on to that. And now, let's do this. No, I'll just stretch it across. I'll use a line tool. I'll drop it down 2 or 3. Something easy to manage. Cool.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oops. I'll have to undo that the second this is done loading. I went backwards. I turned those brush strokes into pencil lines. It's gonna look ugly. Yeah. If Zarya actually has actual authority in the Urkin Empire, oh, it'd be full kiss butt mode. But if she doesn't actually hold authority and she's just an outcast like Zim, he'd probably treat her as less than dirt beneath his feet until the aggression starts, of course. Yeah, see, I messed that up. Okay, drawing. Now back to what I was trying to do. Convert pencil lines to brush strokes. This takes those two lines that I just made and makes it able to be cut out, which is what I wanted to do. Oh, Haunted by Disturbed? Oh, that was earlier today I played it. I'll let it play out. It's a good song. Like, she is, like Red and Turtle, just a tad more serious. The Urkin Empire highly respects her. Okay. Okay, so actually respected. In that case...
Oh, I mean the presence of the mighty Azarian. My goodness, to what do I owe this pleasure?
Sort of thing. You know.
What can I do for you, madame? Okay. How may I serve you today? Do you require propaganda posters to be created? We have a special on colored printings today. I know just how to manipulate the masses.
Full brown nose.
Yeah, he's a real weaselly. Sounds like he has a running nose, you know?
Maybe a bit too much there. Hang on, let me try again.
I'm just, I'm the best, and that, well, no, the Urkin Empire's the best, but I'm the best because I'm the best in the business, you know? No one makes better advertising than me.
He'd probably be the guy to create the advertisements on the side of the Massive.
Yes, hello. I hope I'm not in trouble, am I? Oh, please, have mercy on me if I did anything to upset the mighty Tallest. I meant no disrespect. Whatever it was I did, 1,000 apologies.
Go ahead and quickly break off from the roleplay for a second. He does love himself as much as Zim, but he knows when to rein it in, you know? He knows to be a butt kisser, and he knows when to rein it back and be like, whoa, now, I better not make sure I look too good, if that makes any sense. It'd be like, yeah, one of our best.
Oh, I'm glad you see the value of my work, my Tallest. Is there any orders you would like to place today? I can do anything at all that you need, that the Empire requests of me. I am happy to serve.
Excuse me. Gosh, that hurts my voice sometimes. Maybe. I don't know. See, he's egotistical, but not so much that he doesn't know his place. Unlike Zim, he knows his place. That's why he's such a good butt kisser. He does think highly of himself, but he knows better than to tick off those above him. That's the picture I'm getting here. Anyways, a lot of this is just improv.
Absolutely. Like I said, he's the epitome of what it means to be an Urkin. So that comes with being egotistical, but it also comes with knowing your place in relation to the tallest and everything. Like, he's not so foolish as to think that he's better than them, even secretly. More wanted posts. What's this pest doing here? Yes. Can you make wanted posters for Zim?
Well, of course. I'm more than happy to make more. What did?
Hang on, sorry. The song change threw me off. This is Black and White by Static X. Make it easier. More wanted posters for Zim.
Well, yes, of course. Anything at all for you. We're running a special today on color. We can make them in color ink. Then we can also do. Sorry, we can.
I'm trying to think of good comedic material here. I'm not the best on it. Now, basically, yes. A whole lot of yes. And what do you want? You tell me to jump. You tell me to jump. I ask how high, sort of thing. Something. You know.
Anything to help rid the Empire of that little pest, of course. Are we sending a task force to that distant little backwater planet to take care of it finally?
I need to add some cracks in it now, though. Yes, photo, thank you for that later. Kind of quiet. Oh! Okay. It's that song. It's really loud. It's a loud song. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust the volume. There we go. How's that? It should probably be a little better now. Okay, see you, Ember. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Actually, I'll type to you because it'll be quicker. There we go.
Well, there we go. I will create the propaganda pieces, and I will have my best interrogators on it. They will hunt down anyone who has any information on him and create the ultimate... and add the relevant information immediately. It'll be done before the next day, my tallest.
Happy Easter. See you. Happy Easter to you too.
Always happy to help.
Of course. Alright, and I can turn this back up. Shady Cicada's cover, it's a YouTuber, Shady Cicada. His cover of another one of JoJo's songs. Just let me know. Oh, ah. Like I said, I don't really watch the anime, but I do dig the music that was in it. So, yeah. So now that I have that, time to cut these out. I'll come later to observe them.
As you wish, my tallest, I gladly will.
And then I'll turn to one of his assistants and like order them to go hunt down anyone who has information on Zim, and get information on his whereabouts by whatever means necessary.
We'll make sure that little bug is found.
And program it to go out. He'll contact the right people and have it broadcast on every Irken television network, every station, every in the nearby vicinity, any vicinity.
Okay.
I'm glad you think it's funny. Here comes the best part. Well, not yet, but soon. He doesn't look like a bug. He looks like the Mucinex monster. And Zara is watching Zim fail at his mission. Yes.
His pathetic
Fake mission.
It's hilarious that he thinks it's real. What a complete and utter loser. Absolutely pathetic.
Have an as you see. Still some work on her. Could you tell me your opinion? Bring it. Okay, so first of all, give me a brief description of the character, and we'll see how this goes. Let me know. I will tell you some thoughts if you have anything to share. Could probably add a few more cracks branching off here at random intervals. Don't delete that.
Sad that someone so short thinks he has any authority at all. It's really, really sad.
Oh, Unnamed Feeling by Metallica. The clean version, of course, because I wanted to keep the stream PG. I don't really care for the unclean version anyways.
Be right back. Hot pockets are done. Well, it's important to get hot pockets. Even a bear Scoot is a few inches taller than that pathetic worm.
Yeah, that's just sad. That is so depressingly sad, and it almost makes me not want to laugh at it. But I still will.
Yeah, I'm glad you like that laugh. Like I said, when it comes to this guy, I want him to be like an absolute sniveling little weasel. Someone you can look at him and be like, okay, this guy is completely and utterly just, he's trash. He's absolute garbage. But it's funny to listen to him. Sprit. Oops. He's a snurpling little simpleton. Yes. As far as intelligence go, I'd peg him at about average for the Urkin Empire. Meaning pretty smart, but no super genius. Actually, Zim's probably smarter than him, but he's more manipulative than Zim. He's able to be a bit more subtle in his ways, if that makes any sense. Because Zim's not an idiot, he's just impulsive, you know? I have to speak this part. Just in case I can click on the clean version. Okay, it should be it. Oh, I didn't. Ah, whatever. This is Saturite. Her name is, she is Zakara. Leader of the Urkin Fleet, and she's a little shorter than the tallest. Sue requests to call her the taller. She's super angry always. Okay. Sounds a lot like sounds like Soraya actually, the other OC. So is her personality just anger? That's pretty much it. She requests that subordinates call her the taller. Seems a bit derivative in my opinion, if I'm being a little honest. That's my thought on that part though. As far as being in charge of the fleet, I thought the tallest were directly in charge of the Urkin Armada. Like, is this like a sub captain or something? Like, just beneath the Armada? Is she in charge of a section of it? Like, because it seems like the tallest directly manipulate things. So how does that work out? What's the hierarchy there? You also gotta factor in looks too. Like if she's slightly shorter than the tallest, you're probably thinking like one of the tallest advisors' shapes as far as body shapes go. The tallest are very unique Urkins in their body shape. I don't think anyone but the tallest, pre-designated tallest, that is, has its sort of elongated wasp-like structure. Like, so it seems to come with the territory of being the tallest. So, but we do see thicker Urkins like Sizzlor. So we gotta think about what body shape that would be. It'd probably just be a normal Urkin, but a bit lengthier, if that makes any sense. Which I think makes most sense, because you want to maintain the tallest as being unique in the Urkin Empire. You don't want them to seem like they have too many copycats out there. Otherwise it seems cluttered and stuff. Especially if it's someone who isn't technically a tallest, but kind of is, but not really. If you wanted something more Zim-like, more in-fitting with the show, if you wanted something comedic that's more fitting with the show, you could have not people call her but taller, but call her not quite as tall, or not quite the tallest, or almost tallest. And that sounds a bit more like how the show writers would handle something like that. The almost tallest. Almost tallest, but not quite. Alive and Out of Control by Papa Roach. That's what this is. Okay, now to add in the dots. It's random cement. Random cement dots. Making very sparse. You don't want to clutter it. I had Urkin OCs too when I was younger, and even Liz and Lou never made up a story for them. That's fine. I'll probably never take anything anywhere with Sprit. Probably won't do much with him. Actually, he might just be left behind in the live stream, if I'm being honest. I have too much going on, and I don't want to dedicate that creative energy to him right now. I'll just file it away for possible future use, if I ever feel like it. No one said anything new yet. Oh, there's something new. Tallest control the Armada, but is in charge of spare team. Okay, so like a secondary force, like a secondary task force. Interesting. Interesting. That's all I can really say, honestly. I don't have much to go off of there, so I'm not sure. It's all about execution, really. You don't want to... When you're writing something like that, depends on what your goal is. If your goal is just self-indulgence, then there's no rules. But if your goal is to like make something that fits within the world that's there, it fits within the world of Invader Zim, emphasize goofiness above all else. Like make it not too serious. Be willing to make your character look a little stupid or not that flattering. Be willing to make your character the center of a laughing stock, so to speak. Like we're thinking of angry characters in the show, right? What are some other angry characters? Well, there's Sergeant Hobo, right? There's Slab Rankle. There's Sizzlor. All these characters, you look at them and you're like, you think about them, you think about their role in the story and stuff. Apart from the fact that they're one-off antagonists, they're really funny. You can hardly take them seriously. You're like, oh my gosh, you're so stupid. Like, you idiot, why would you do that? Or like, oh, this guy, they take themselves way too seriously. Like, someone who's angry like that, like, they're always like the butt of the joke. Like that. Then again, hardly anyone in Invader Zim is not the butt of the joke, so that's what fits in. I think that's why I gravitated towards Sprit so much. Wow, I almost forgot his name. But for example, I think you would want a character, if you're wanting to fit in with the show, you want it to be someone who has that characteristic, but run through the filter of the world of Invader Zim. You know? So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Try not to make them too special. Try to like shave off all the uniqueness to not all of it, but try to make it so that there isn't too much competing stuff trying to make them seem too special, you know? That way it feels like someone who could actually inhabit that world and not just, oh, this is an outside force shoving this in here. It feels more like someone who actually inhabits that world. Well, I said that. I'm repeating myself at that point.
You want to call it like that? She literally yells at Tallus sometimes and always makes stupid arguments.
I don't think that would work. I think someone like that would be kicked out immediately. Someone like that would be demoted very fast. And make stupid arguments. So is she incompetent? Is that a question? Is she incompetent with her fleet's commanding ability? Like, does she make mistakes that get Urkin ships blown up frequently? Is that a thing? Incompetence, is that a factor? If so, then that's an interesting avenue to explore too. I'm glad you think Brit is hilarious. He's supposed to be a mockery of the idea that Urkins could be taken too seriously. Definitely, like, he's supposed to reflect how awful the Urkin Empire really is. Like, let's be honest here. The Urkin Empire really is awful. It's hilariously awful, but it's awful. Alright, time to fill in with some concrete. I guess I can go to the drawing view and make this easier. That's looking about right. Okay, I can dig that. And then look at the concrete. Actually, you know what? No, I should change this. I'll change the texture tone of this to something more purple. There we go. That's better. That's way better. Give me just a second. I saw there was new comments, but first let me switch over to the sidewalk. There we go. And the sidewalk's actually supposed to be in front of the building. And a mask. Okay, it's looking good so far.
Spirit is such a kiss butt to the Tallus. Yeah, it's kiss butt to anyone above him.
Anyone, like, there's more than just the tallest, right? Anyone who outranks him, he will be a total kiss butt to. Anyone beneath him, he'll treat as dirt beneath his feet. So, very unadmirable. Not a very admirable character. Riddled with character flaws. Which is, of course, the idea. That's the point. But yeah. Also, I need to finish this. I didn't quite finish the line art here. This is Hail to the King by Avenged Sevenfold. You know, if a character's too perfect, right? That's another reason I gravitate towards making things like Sprit with obvious flaws. If a character's too perfect, it starts nagging at the reader's suspension of disbelief. So that's why I say that motivation and why you're creating it matters as much. You need to know what the purpose is within the world of the story. And like, okay, why is this character here? Sprit, for instance, is there to explore the dystopian side of the Urkin Empire. And to, you know, the perfect Urkin would not be someone you'd want to hang out around. He's actually pathetic. And a bit well, not a bit, completely self-centered and egotistical. That's the idea anyways, I think. I did sort of come up with it on the spot, though, so I can't give you much in the way of answers yet. I'd have to refine that concept.
Like, you make a mistake and all you hear is
Your character yelling Sprit. Followed by him crying and apologizing profusely and, like, promising to do better next time, and he would never do that. He would never deliberately betray the mighty Urkin Empire. And 1,000 times apologies. I feel like he's competent but not good, if that makes sense. Like, he can make mistakes, he's competent, otherwise he would have been exiled or kicked out long ago. But that kiss buttery is a defense mechanism for sure for when he does mess up, and that is possible. Because, yeah, not everyone's perfect. He's not a defective, by the way. That would make him special and unique, and I don't like that. He's not a defective. There's nothing interesting as far as making him stand out in the Urkin Empire. He's just a very
accurate example of a typical Urkin. You know, I think that's where the appeal is. It adds a layer of world exploration. What could also add layers of interest and intrigue to Sprit would be giving him exploring his team in a little bit more. Probably has a team of 4 or 5 people that he calls on, assistants and group members. Maybe there's even a turncoat amongst them, like someone who's betraying against the Urkin Empire. His story could be about finding them and how he eliminates them, or calls the authorities on them, or tries to flee from them so he doesn't get hurt. Yeah, he wouldn't confront them directly. He would be running, I'm gonna call the authorities on you. He never says he'll attack someone. He always threatens to call the authorities on someone, like, I'm gonna go get my big brother. But he's never gonna do any confrontation himself, because that would go against the fact that he's a sniveling little coward, and we can't have him be brave. Unacceptable. Your voice alone makes me use. Oh, that's funny. Nice. But doesn't he? He's just a pathetic little insect, you know? Right, now add a few more flicks to the sidewalk. Don't this look good? I think one thing about Sprit that would make sense is if he's obsessed with order, rules, and regulations. Things are just so. The Urkin Empire is always right, and if you deny that, then you are incorrect and deserve to be punished for your wrong opinion. Accidentally good at her job, but because of her anger, Tall's not sure if they want to kick her out or not. That's why they're confused by her existence. Okay. How much mental space does she occupy of the Tallest on a daily basis? Like, how often do the Tallest think of her? How often is she on their radar? Does she just go off do a task and the only time they notice her is when she messes up? Or whenever she reports in for a standard, like, report thing? Like, is that it? There's another thing too. You don't want a character where there's not a good reason for them to always be on the Tallest mind, right? Because then it makes it seem like you're associating importance to them where they haven't earned it in the audience's mind, you know? Yeah, see there, that, like, Zerai is not laughed at because if someone laughs at her, they pay dearly. That's a bit tough. That's a cool sort of thing. And I'm not sure how well that fits in the world of Invader Zim. Someone who's taken seriously all the time. My tablet just died again. Just out of nowhere, just like that. Okay, so why is it active? Okay, it's back to normal. Weird. I don't know how that happens. Maybe my tablet's just dying. That wouldn't be good. But yeah, you don't want a character that's, oh, this is so cool, if it's incongruent with the show itself. If that's what you're going for, of course. Because when I design OCs, I would think that I would try to make them fit in with the world as seamlessly as possible. That's just a different philosophy to what most people do, though. Most people just create OCs for the sake of whatever they, hey, wouldn't it be cool if X, Y, or Z, you know? So I can't really fault anyone for that. But that whole, you know, don't question her or she'll hurt you, I don't like it. I think it's, like, too cool and tough, you know? Oh, okay. See you, Marion. Have a good one. Happy Easter and all that. And have a good day. My take on characters is definitely
Don't make them too serious. Don't take them seriously if they're in the world of Invader Zim, especially. Don't try to, I don't know. Show don't tell is a good word for it, but there's a different... It's very specific what I'm trying to get at. I can't quite articulate my thoughts. Every now and then she finds something to laugh at. Philosophy behind the character matters just as much as the character itself, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but that's not quite it either. Oh well. Sidewalks looking nice and dirty. That's it too. Okay, that's it too. If you were to design a building, right, instead of an OC, and try to place it in the world of Invader Zim, think of your OC like a building. Try to take the building and plop it in the middle of the street downtown in the city that Zim and Tib live in. Is it nice, shiny, clean, polished, and cool looking? Does it just look awesome and like, oh yeah, that's so cool, it looks nice and clean and perfect? If so, it doesn't fit in though. Because then it's like, oh, that stands out because everything around it's gritty and defiled and ugly looking. Klutz to the point where it's funny, okay. So there's something. Short-tempered klutz to the point where it's funny. Interesting. A lot of characteristics. And take the current existing... Another thing to do is take the currently existing personality you have for a character, right? And try to see how you can break it down in situations where the personality plays against them in a way that makes them unlikable or puts them in a bad situation. Like Dib. If Dib were an OC that someone made up, they'd probably make it a cool paranormal hunting guy who knows Zim's an alien and will do anything to stop him, and he's got a cool trench coat, you know? But the problem is, he takes Zim so seriously, right, that he's a laughingstock in his classmates, and his determination actually works against him, you know, contrary to what you would think. So, that's it. That's it in a nutshell. Okay, so just don't if she's in a bad mood. There you go. How I would take that if I were approached with a character is I would take her bad mood and make it work against her, right? I would make it so that she's not well liked, and that people probably lie to her frequently just to get on her good side, and that leads to bad information in the field, and that, you know, that leads to more mess-ups. It's like a runaway greenhouse effect. Also, when she reports on how a terrible team is working, they're effective, which is at least once a week. Okay, so, once a week. The tallest don't really notice her too much then, right? I mean, it's more like a routine. Oh, there's that person that we talk to once in a while. The tallest have other matters to attend to, though. So I would emphasize the relation to the tallest being the most paramount of them then, because it seems like she just reports in once in a while. Is there anyone on her team that plays off her well, like as an opposite? That might be interesting. You know, and too many chefs spoil the pot, too many details ruin the character. That's why I tried to cut back on the amount of stuff for Sprit, for example. I didn't want to go overboard. I want to keep it super simple. Got that sorted out. So actually, that's something I didn't even ask. What's your goal with these characters? What is your motivation for creating them? What do you want out of them, you know? Okay, so the other Urkins just laugh, but then what does she do? Does she hurt them? Does she beat them up and, like, do something to them? Or does she punish them in other ways, like by humiliation and stuff? That's a critical element, too. Like, because someone with short temper, there would have to be reasons for her being around, you know? That would just make sense. So, thinking of, I think another thing is like, just consequences of the character's existence. What does it mean for the world of this show that this character exists? How does that play into everything? What does it imply? I think I'm thinking too deep, maybe, but this is how I approach characters, so it's definitely a different way of looking at it, right? I think I take OCs too seriously for most people. Most people think I take OCs way too seriously, and that's why I don't like them as much. But that's just because I want something that fits into the show like a glove, you know? So that's why I should have started out by asking, like, what are you wanting out of it, you know? Just a cool character? Because that's a perfectly viable option. But if you wanted just a cool character, then I can't offer much in the way of advice. Because my idea of what's cool is way different than what most people's idea of cool is. Because my idea of a cool character is someone, in the world of Invader Zim at least, someone who you can, looks cool, maybe has a neat design, but overall is just as, you can't take them seriously like anyone else, if that makes sense. Now she just humiliates and she's in a bad mood. If she's in a good mood, she just laughs. Okay, so there's someone who lighthearted, has a bit of laughter. Does she have an ego on her though? Is that a very Irken, the telltale Irken ego, you know? That's another thing too. And I know I'm throwing a lot of questions at you guys at once. I'm just trying to get in depth here and give them the detail that's deserved. Yeah, what am I doing here? Building, sidewalk, alright. Flatten the building. Sidewalk. Flatten the sidewalk. Okay, so now we have those layers flattened. That's the foreground, I'm going to call it. Okay, or actually background layer 1. So back to the node view. Let me fix it a little. So we're going to create a composite. Alright, we bring this down. Building. Okay, building attached there. Sidewalk in front of it. I'm going to call this BG0 because it's the closest to the camera. Now for the matte resizing. What this is going to do is this is going to give it a thick outline around the background itself so that it has that layered effect that I always like going for. Okay, matte resize and also matte blur. So I'm going to just call this thickness, or BG0 thickness. And we're going to make it by maybe 2 for now, and we'll adjust that as needed later. We're going to call this BG0 color line. It's the line, it's the outline, you know, it's not the actual color. Drop that down, turn it to black. Right, so now to adjust the thickness, and let's hope this doesn't crash. Oh yeah, I jinxed myself. Okay, I didn't, good. That's the thickness outline. Let me crank it up to maybe 3 and see what happens. Good, that's all I'll need. Actually, I'll probably do it 2.5. Takes pride in herself sometimes, but she knows when to stop. Okay, so it's a competent person we're dealing with here. Okay, and now you wanted to create OC to make fan comics, which is more what's going on in the massive armada perspective. Okay, so both of you have similar things where it's you want it to fit in with the world of Invader Zim. So now what I would do is if you wanted it to fit in, if you just wanted to have a laugh or do your own thing, then feel free to ignore my advice, obviously. But if you wanted this to work for the world of Invader Zim, take their characteristics and be forced to find the incompetence or the flaws in them where they don't look better than anyone else in the show. That's my #1 rule, I think. I don't want any of my characters to usurp the show characters as looking cool. Sprit, for example, not nearly as cool as Zim even. The Master Control Brain, not cool because he takes himself too seriously. It's stupidly funny. You know, and like in one scene he gets scared of gas, so he knows the character, quote unquote, knows his place, not literally but figuratively knows his place as far as where the pecking order is. Make sure your character is never on top of the pecking order, otherwise it comes off the wrong way. Make sure that there's a clear line of importance. I don't know how to phrase that as far as the greater universe goes. Like, the stories themselves could be focused on them as the main characters, obviously. But, like, as far as their role in the universe, make sure they know their place. Or even if they don't know their place, make sure the story knows their place, is what I'm getting at. Like, make sure the story treats them the way they deserve to be treated. And that's no better or worse than they need. Especially in the world of Invader Zim. You know, I would be much more entertained by an OC who screws up a lot, but is fun to listen to, than an OC that's so cool all the time and never makes a mistake. And like, oh, you better watch out when this character's angry. Ooh, you wouldn't like them when they're angry. Like, okay, doesn't entertain me. What entertains me is something that looks like it was yanked from the world of Invader Zim and placed before my eyes, and it's like, wow, this could totally happen in the show, sort of thing. Okay, her pack legs glitch out and smack her about. Interesting, interesting. Does that make her defective, or is that a result of an accident?
Because depending on the answer, that would be something she needs to hide from the rest of the Urkins. You know, even the tallest, you wouldn't. The control brains are the real ones that call the shots that we gotta remember. So they would have someone fried who's a defective. Right now for the building backgrounds. And call this EG. We're gonna call this Skyline 1 or Skyline 0. Let's go to the node view and make sure this is placed properly. It's not, so I need to fix that. Composite. Accident in operation in Pin Doom 1. Okay, so it's not a defect. Okay, then there doesn't need to be so much secretive about it. Okay, cool. Maybe that's a sore spot with her. Maybe that is the reason she gets so angry, is because physically she's not in her prime. Now she's constantly hit. That's a sore spot as far as how she messes up. It's not her fault, but she does, and that's why she's angry a lot of the times. In that case, I would get rid of her. Now that there's an actual logical reason for it, get rid of the aspect of her that makes her laugh at her own mistakes. Make her not able to laugh at her own mistakes. That could be added as a crippling character flaw. And then now that there's a reason behind it that I see, this could be a sore spot for her, and she does not take well to anyone making fun of her for it. And she would never cross a line, because otherwise she'd be fired or terminated or whatever, but she will humiliate them in ways that, like, make sense with her authority level. That's my takeaway from it, is all, though. Like I said, everything I say, take or leave, it does not actually matter what I say, per se. Which is great. This doesn't require a lot of detail because it's like a silhouetted skyline. Cool. I'll have to fix that off at the end there, though. Okay, unmask it now. Cut away, cut away. Okay, if I laugh, it reminds me of that. If laughed at me, it reminds me of that little flaw. Yeah, it was just a little sign, and like you mentioned, the physical damage, like the antenna missing. Maybe add on some more crippling things that make it so that the accident with Zim really did a number on her, and that's like I said, that's a sore spot. That's a thing that is not funny to her, and how dare anyone laugh at her for it? She wants to keep up this constant appearance of looking cool in front of everyone, right? But she doesn't always. Actually, maybe she hardly ever looks cool in front of everyone else. And like her desire to look cool and stuff, maybe that is a character flaw, you know, like a personality-wise, that's a problem. And that could be added in to make it a bit more of an interesting story. That's the thing, people don't like reading about perfect characters. They like reading about flawed characters. Or, well, typically. If you're not going for wish fulfillment. If you are going for wish fulfillment, then there's literally no rules. You just do whatever you want, obviously. But if you are going for a bit more depth and stuff, you definitely want flawed characters, because no one's perfect, and people tend to find perfect characters unrelatable. That I have found in my experience, anyways. Not always the case, but usually. And that is why there's so many mess-ups. Hey, when they're gone, let's hide the prosthetic hand. Yeah, all these things, and she's trying to look perfect. This is vanity coming through. Vanity is it's a good character flaw. It adds interest, and now suddenly it's not this, oh, cool, tough, cool, you know, could kick your butt type character, but more it's like someone who wants to be that, but isn't. And then that's a sore spot. What do you think? But she still has authority, therefore you can't just laugh at her with abandon without consequence. But it's like a character flaw, if that makes any sense. It might not make sense, but that's what I was getting at. Time to add in windows to this. probably hear my dad. Like had scars with like something like the same color. Yeah, makeup, maybe hologram. Maybe she has a hologram projector like Tack does. And sometimes when her pack glitches out, the hologram flickers and fades, and you see the reality underneath. And it's perfect because that vanity works with Invader Zim. Oh yeah, you know what? You're not wrong. Reminds me of those old YouTube Newgrounds animations. I could see that because of the simple flash design. Actually, that makes sense. I haven't added any shading yet or anything. I'm just working on the basic shapes, but that makes sense why it would look like that. That's interesting. Projector hides a blind eye. Yes, do all that. Go for it. Make it on the surface, perfectly average Urkin. Beneath the surface, all these flaws, scars, and stuff that make her not perfect, and being a bit of an egotistical, vain Urkin, as they tend to be, that's a big sore spot for her. She hates it. Suddenly, I'm more interested. Now, see, with this, I'm suddenly very interested in the character, you know? Suddenly, the fact, all this hiding and manipulation and stuff makes me way more interested than I was at first, you know? As opposed to someone who's just scarred from Zim, like, because, not to be rude, but those are a dime a dozen in the fandom. My character ran into Zim and got a scar. My character was wronged by Zim in the past. This is, like, frequent in the fandom. And if you want your character to stand out, a way to go is, like, that. Maybe she doesn't even like talking about the run-in with Zim because it's a really, like, ooh, I just can't stand him sort of thing. Time to add in where the building lights would be. Right here. Oh wait, YouTube paused it automatically again because it doesn't like people listening to music. This is garbage. This is a corporate garbage on YouTube's part, and if they keep it up, I'm going to switch platforms when I'm listening to music. Moon Baby by Godsmack. This is a good one. Or is it all just lunacy? Cool. Let me see. I'm going to go with 6 different windows here, so I'll go with 7 frames. I'm going to do the trick again with the morphing. And this will make it a perfect representation of the drawing. What I'm meaning by that is this again. I'm doing this again. I'm doing this again to make the windows more spaced out evenly. Maybe spreads helps hide it. Maybe I don't know. I don't want to involve my OCs with other OCs if it's all the same to you. Because if I start that too much, then I have to keep it up. I would much rather just not commit to something like that. But if you wanted to headcanon it that way or have an Urkin engineer do it, that's totally cool, you know? Or you're asking if she has some sort of opposite character, and yes, she has one. But he's not in existence right now. He'll be messing stuff on purpose just to make her mad. Okay, there you go. Add a foil. That, once again, spice things up, make it interesting. And that sort of stuff makes it more than, like I said, the dime a dozen things you get in the fandom, where it's just someone's angry because Zim wronged them in the past and now they want revenge. Like, it's basically the Tack clones that you see everywhere in the fandom. It's a trendy thing, but you gotta make sure yours stands out somehow. And you're not even, like... Sorry about that, hang on. And your character particularly doesn't even get involved with Zim, FML, you know, you're not really. Yeah, yours is more like its own thing, which I definitely think stands out better, too. Just a thought, yeah. I agree, I get the idea, but, like, I don't want to commit to stuff like that. If it, I'm sure you understand that. Window 1.
go. Perfectly spaced lines. Beautiful. I can create a pattern on this building. I guess I could do the same line spacing technique with this too. Like that. Okay. I'm going to use this to my advantage. I think I'll go with pasting this out over here by the 10 again. Yeah, the character acts like a comforting masculine. Yeah. See, exactly. So, and that's, I'm more invested in the character now, and it's less, like you're exploring that, so to speak. You're adding depth to the character, and I like that. And it's not all about looks, it's about what it means more beyond that. She's on once on a poster, and that's about her interactions with Zim. Yeah, exactly. So your character doesn't interact with Zim that much. So already you have a leg up in the sense that you don't have a personal connection to Zim, and that makes it more interesting, because suddenly it's like, oh, this isn't more of the same old I've seen in the fandom. This is actually stuff I'm seeing more differently, and it's cool, you know, it's neat. And not that there's anything wrong, by the way, Zachary and Tammy, you know, it's nothing wrong with having your character actually have a past with Zim. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you create an OC with a past that's related to Zim, you're at a disadvantage because there's a lot of them is all. So you have to find ways to make it unique. Whereas if your character doesn't have a past with Zim, already you have a leg up, in a sense, because there's more, it's more unique, so to speak. If that makes any sense. But then, like I said, I think the most important piece of advice I could give, if you're wanting your character to work within the world of Invader Zim, if you're wanting it to feel like it could actually have been in the show, definitely make it so that the character isn't the most important thing since sliced bread. Like, always make sure that the story, if the character doesn't know their place, that's fine, that's totally cool. Could be a total egotist, that's fine. But the story itself, the world itself, knows their place, you know? Okay, see you in a second. That's my biggest advice, honestly. If that makes any sense. I hope it makes sense. Like, you know, other characters see this character, they don't immediately give them the respect that that you would as the author, or like something like that, you know. Other characters are still in character around the character. Man, that's a long roundabout way of saying that. I think that's why I had so much fun with the Master Control Ring too. Here's this stereotypical villain who thinks, you know, who acts like a villain in a cartoon show, but is totally not competent, but is totally not, like, he doesn't get the world he's in is not meant for him. You know? It's not meant for a loser like that. It's not meant for someone who takes himself so seriously. And that's hilarious. The comedy comes from the failure to understand and reconcile what's going on. Okay, this is playing again. YouTube, why is your shuffle option a complete garbage? YouTube. Okay, let's shuffle it again. And skip. Heard that already. Heard that already. Heard that already. Ah, my playlist got all messed up. Alright. Back it up, back it up. We just heard this, so... Sorry for the delay. Alright, here we go. Liberty or Death from Havoc. Alright. It's important to have some lights lit up and some not. Actually, it doesn't even matter past that point. Okay, cool. Good enough. Oops. get back to work. Dang it, that's... I hate that that froze up again.
Fight the power. Control.
Alright. So that didn't work out so well. I should just guess work it. I think I'm going to. Alright, that didn't work out so well last time, unfortunately, because it crashed without saving. So what I'm going to do now is just do guesswork. I just have to do this manually, like I said. I'll create a bunch of places for windows and then fill them in manually, and then that'll have to be good enough. It is a background feature, and it's not going to be the primary focus, so I can get away with a little less detail than I normally would want in there. There we go. That'll be a good window framework, and I'll have to deal with that as being good enough. Please don't crash. Oh good, it worked. Okay. That was the biggest step. And yeah, for sure this is definitely a sign that I need to get a new computer soon. Ugh.
When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty.
Nice. Okay, next one coming up. We have Until It Sleeps from Metallica. Alright, let's see how this looks once I get rid of the green. Good, that looks good to me. Alright, we're going to delete that and leave it. I sometimes like to think that in her team, that one of them likes to give her fake news to gain her respect. When she'll find out it was lies, she would just throw him into the space vacuum. Always come back. Yeah,
That's funny. That's exactly a Zim sort of thing too, an Invader Zim thing, like the lack of consistency with continuity. Funny. That makes sense though. Alright, cut one. I'll just delete. And now for the background skyline. Where's the reference image? What sort of colors did I have in there? Dark purple with white. Alright. And it's a gradient. We have a dark purple gradient I'll make. Imagine, let me check out the imported image real quick. Do I have it so that... Yeah, it's not too bright down there, but I feel like it ought to be. But no, I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. We don't want to draw too much attention away from the foreground. So now let's adjust this gradation. I also need to make it more noticeable, because clearly that's not noticeable enough. Excellent, and then the other one I'll change to... I'll give it its own gradation. I'll make the gradient from pink to bright. There we go. And we'll make sure they're all the same. Select everything of that same color. And now... Nah, it'd look better if the white part was down below. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And I can adjust the transparency of it. There, that looks good. No, not like that, actually. We'll just make it that color. Make this white and fully functional, and then swap them. Come on, swap for them. There we go, that's what I wanted. Alright, so that's a good start to it, I think. Yeah, I don't want anything more than that. I think too much detail makes it bad. So now I'm going to just add the sky. Yeah, I'll add the sky next. Okay. Sky VG. Add close. This will be easy. Okay, and let's see where this is in relation to everything else. Okay, sky background needs to be behind that. I don't even know what drawing is. What is that? I think it's its own thing. It needs to be deleted. Yeah, there's nothing on there that I need. Right, okay, so that's interesting because it works against the buildings. I need to make it more... I need to make the buildings stand out more. So let's change the coloring and stuff. Ooh, there we go. Make it red. That'll make it easier to stand out.
There we go. Okay. And I'll add a line art to it. No dude. I'll just copy this layer. It'll help. See how this looks when rendered. Whew. Yes! Alright, that's looking good. Nice. What do we got here? Nothing left. Okay. I'll add shading and stuff later. That'll all come tomorrow. I'll just finish out the sky for now, and I'll call it good. Sky background. Okay, let's add some stars and stuff first. One. Ah, that's too big. It's looking like space. And now we add in some clouds. Ah, The Unforgiven by Metallica. Another good song. Make the clouds green for now, just so I can tell where they are, and then I'll change their color later. Alright. Drawing time, let's see here. That's easier to identify. Let's just see how this looks. I'll extend it to throughout the whole shot now. How long does it go? Yeah, how many frames? That was unintentional. Alright, that extends it for the full thing. Next up is the shadows, but for now I think this is a success. Alright! Good start. I think this is a very good start. Yeah, sweet. Okay, I'll change this to gradient some other time, but for now I think this is a good stopping point. Yeah, there's nothing else to add, really. Alright, guys. So, this was fun today. We got the backgrounds drawn. Next time I join, I'll try to live stream this. Next time I work on it, I'll add the shading to the background, and then I'll add dim and gas, and then it'll be it for this. So, thank you everyone for watching, and until then, I will see you next time. Bye!